Hi, I'm Amy, and I run a business, Amy Elisa Design, that basically does things that help repair clothes and creates slow fashion for people. So, as part of that business, we sort of developed products and then realized that we needed to go a slightly different route. And that route sort of took us on an even more eco and sustainable journey. So then we sort of started toying with the idea of creating a refill shop, a zero waste shop. And so then was born the refill shed. So we have like two elements to the business, which is Amy Elisa Design, which is where we do all the clothes alterations and we do making garments for people. Okay. And then on the other side, we do refill products, things that you can get that are more eco sustainable things for the home, for yourself. So we do those sorts of things. And then as a sort of crazy culmination on top of that, I realize I need to do even more um, if I'm not already doing enough with these kind of things. So I developed this new sort of route, shall we say, that's called Slow Circular Earth. And I've been doing some sort of big blue sky thinking sort of about what this all means. And basically, in a nutshell, it's about how to get free eco education to everybody, so that I believe that everybody deserves educating, and accessibility to it should be free. So I had started by doing, I've been writing books, been writing blogs, posts, been doing videos for many, many years, and lots of different things like that that have shaped what we're doing. Um, but they all, they all had a price tag to them. So I was trying to make money from these things that I was doing, thinking that that was the right way for the business to go. And it seems that actually, no, it's not supposed to have that kind of an impact where it's not about me gaining, it's about everybody gaining. So it's about us all learning together and growing so that we can be more of a sustainable community together. So that's a little bit about, you know, what we do. So, hello, I'm Amy, and I run a business and brand that educates all on the social, economical, and most eminently, the environmental impacts we have as humans upon this earth that we call home. I don't just tell you and inform you about the green ways of life. No, no, I truly live it every day, some days more than others. We are taking this journey together as one. We need to help, serve, and educate one another. Within this show, we hope to help you gain insight into easy methods that you can apply to your own lives to live a little lighter on the planet. We will offer you advice and guidance and open up discussions about the important things we all need to consider to play our part. So I thought a good place to start would be with some questions as to why all of this is important. Why should we be even having any of these conversations? What is the point? What do we need to talk about? Well, we need to talk about action. We know we need to do something, but we are either not sure where to start or we think we will need to have to invest lots of either time or money to be able to be successful. If we start here, we can soon easily realize that this just isn't the case, not even a little bit. Once you start, you just can't stop, and living in a sustainable way, it just gathers momentum, and pretty soon you won't even notice the effort. I'm serious. Okay, let's get to the questions. So, my first question for today's show is, why is it important to live in a more eco and sustainable way? Well, why do you think? Um, if we all live a little lighter and all try and change the way that we live to better help the planet and us as the human race, we are saving ourselves. So in terms of living more eco, it doesn't necessarily mean going out buying an electric van, or which I want to go and do. It doesn't mean doing those big gestures necessarily. It doesn't mean how you don't need to spend lots of money to be able to do it. You don't even really need to you don't even it's not even effort. It shouldn't be effort, or it has to be not such a big deal to be able to have a good effect, to be able to be sustainable. And that's the trick with it. So it's important to live that this way so that we help save the planet for future generations. And we all know about climate change. I'm not going to tell you about climate change. I'm not going to tell you about all the things that are going wrong that we need to try and help sort, because that's too vast. It's just one show. But if you start to understand those things, or if you start to be aware of what those things are, at least then you're in a better position to gain an understanding as to how important it is to live more sustainably. And if every single person, no matter what their social, economical, environmental stance is, if everybody makes that little change, then it does make a big difference. We've seen that with loads of different. I'm part of Greenpeace, part of Green Party, support RSPB, Woodland Trust. I do all sorts of fundraising and assign, all the petitions and everything that come through, and the things that can help make a difference. I'll do it. I can play a part, my little part, and I still don't feel like it's enough. So it doesn't mean that you have to go out and do something. You don't even need to do anything if you don't really want to. It's a choice. Everybody has a choice. And this is just to sort of give you that option. Like, try and figure out if there is something that you could do or you want to do. So it's really important to do that and to live that way if you're of the right mindset. Like, if you really have no interest in it, then you don't need to do it. Hopefully there are others out there that really want to and that will play a bigger part in it. So it doesn't matter. So the pressure isn't from me, from anybody, to do something that you're not ready to do or that you're not willing to do. But it's important to do that if you want to. It's quite simple. But to live in a sustainable manner, you have to change your thinking. You have to sort of develop a resilience almost to problems that could come up with it, because there are a lot of issues that come up as we start this eco mindset and this journey. So question number 2, what difference would it or even could it make? So if you start your journey, you want to become more mindful and you want to live more eco, what differences could it make? Well, you can see just in your own surroundings what difference it could make. You don't necessarily see the bigger picture, and sometimes it's hard to see the bigger picture when you're in it and you're doing the little things that you can do within your own remit. Now, to understand what difference you could truly make is it's too big almost. You need to be able to see the small steps that you're taking and understand that you won't see it won't be too it won't it's hard to understand, hard to explain. You won't see the impact straight away. You will see small changes and you'll think, I'm not even getting anywhere, I'm not even doing anything. But that is, the frustration's great to know that you have that kind of passion or caring about it enough to know that it's annoying you because you're not doing enough. That's when you can start to see the difference, but you're very frustrated by the fact that you're not really making a difference, that you can sometimes lose the drive for it. So it's at those times when you think, this is not enough. Why is this not enough? Well, within that time, within that little space where your head's at, you're processing, and then you're leveling up, you're going up, you're scaling up with it. You are making a difference because you care enough to get frustrated and angry about the fact that you're not doing enough. I'll give you an example. So over lockdown period, I became, there was a lot of, we didn't go out very much, or we went out for a walk, and there was no sort of, I don't know, things just went a little bit backwards, definitely, in terms of how to live more eco and sustainable. Now, in one way they went forwards, and I'll maybe get to that in a little while if I remember. But in some ways you take a step back because things aren't as easy. So the shopping, we couldn't just go to the shop and just buy what you needed when you needed it. Or I couldn't spend hours in Lidl's or wherever I went for shopping to find all the things that didn't have loads of plastic packaging, didn't have all those unneeded, unwarranted things on top of vegetables. And I couldn't spend time doing that, which is what I'd done before we were locked down. One time especially, I spent too long, and I say Lidl's because that's where it was. I spent, I don't even know, an hour and a half, say, just literally picking through the things. I was adamant I wasn't leaving that shop with any plastic or anything that I felt wasn't warranted. It turns out I didn't really get much in that shop either. But anyway, I digress. So, yes, so we weren't able to shop the same way. So my frustrations about not making a big enough difference came when I couldn't get out. Sometimes had to send out, and we got shopping delivered, and things just came as they came, like we needed bread. So we couldn't get the bread that I would usually get, which is either in a paper wrapper or make our own, whatever. But we couldn't get the flour to make our own. So one of the frustrations was that we were buying lots of different bread, and ended up with plastic packaging, and also then like boxes and pizzas and just things that you could get easily on a shopping delivery coming to the house. And then at the end of it, I just got to a point where I realized I got just hundreds and hundreds of boxes, plastic wrapping, things that I would usually just sort of save and use, the boxes we would, and the plastic bits that we did end up buying, we'd use, and actually kids would do some craft or something with it, which honestly was absolutely brilliant when we were homeschooling. But there was just an overload of stuff. So it frustrated me that I couldn't just do and shop how I wanted to shop. I wasn't able to live that kind of refill way, which is what we'd started before lockdown had ensued. So that was a big frustration, having piles and piles and piles of stuff that either was recycling or going into landfill. Just what is the point, is what I ended up sort of saying. What are we doing? Got this stuff, all this stuff. But why? What am I going to do with it all? What is, it was just a little mind blowing. And I was really frustrated. I think I even wrote a blog post on it. I don't know if the blog post made it, because I think I felt so frustrated with myself and just heavily annoyed. And I thought, I don't want to put that out there, because that just shows that, look, I'm this big eco advocate, and I'm trying to show this is how you should try and live your life. This is a great way to do it. And I can't even do it. So it was like, oh, that was a big eye opener to say, well, actually, sometimes it just isn't possible to do or live exactly how you want to do, unless you're in the middle of, I don't know, living in the middle of a forest somewhere, and you eat only what you grow, or yeah. Anyway, we're in the real world, and we have real world problems where it's not just as simple as that, especially when you've got two kids that just love cheese. So we're going to have plastic because they love cheese, and the cheese comes in plastic wrappers from the shop that it's easy to get it from. Now, I can source somewhere that doesn't sell it in a plastic wrapper, but that means effort, or that means going somewhere that's across the country to buy it, or ordering it in. And that I can do, but sometimes life is a little bit harder than just doing that. So going back to the question, what difference would it, or even could it make? Well, it will make a difference. Just the fact that you even care enough to do something is exactly what we all need. Not what I need. It doesn't matter to me whether you decide that this is something you want to do or whether it isn't. I'm not going to force you. I'm not going to be the one to say this is the right way to do it. But if you want to do it and you feel that it's already happening and you're already thinking that way anyway, just try it. What's the worst that could happen? So you can make a difference, but it will be very frustrating at times if it's not quite going how you think it should do, or you want to see a return from your investments of time and thoughtful processes. It won't become evident. Even I'm like, well, if you could see the rest of my room, it's just covered in little notes and post-its and mood boards, vision boards, and toilet paper, just the stuff on the walls that basically everything I sort of do and think is, I'm consciously very, very aware of what I can do to have an impact and to make changes in my everyday life. And basically all this is starting the conversation with people, starting ideally locally, so that we can come together as a community and build, not literally, not even really figuratively, but build this sort of this good old fashioned ethos of just living in a more holistic way that doesn't impact the earth as well, as much as it has done. Now, for me, it's okay saying that. One key part is that at the end of the day, it's not always down to the individual, and I'm fully aware of that. But we still play a part in it. We can still play a part. And as a community, we certainly can play a part, a bigger part, when we're doing things together. I know that majority of things are out of control, or are out of our control, not out of control. Well, in some cases, probably are out of control. But in, government decisions, policies that we can't necessarily impact. Yes, we can sign a petition. Yes, we can send our MP an email. But does it always have the effect that we want it to, or that we need it to have? Not necessarily. So there are things we can do and we can make a difference. I truly believe that we are making a difference in every little step that we take. Okay, so that's good. So question 3, how can we make simple changes that will last easily, affordably, and sustainably? So 3 quite key things that come down to political, social, economical, and environmental points. We need to be able to adjust easily to live in that way, because if it's going to be a pain in the bum, we're not going to want to do it. It's simple as that, isn't it? You're not going to want to really strive for it. Some people are a little bit more into that, like myself, and that's fine. Leave us to do all the real, I don't know what it is, but leave that to me and whoever else is up to it. But so anyway, easily, affordable, and sustainable are the 3 things that you need to think about, so that we are doing it so that you can sustain it. You're going to make those changes and then go like, well, okay, I can't keep that going. So I've tried that and that's not for me now. So, for instance, things that we've changed that we've been able to sustain, as I say, the things with the shopping, it's not quite gone to plan because of how we've had to change our shopping habits, and things have changed, and I haven't been able to sustain going to all the refill shops for a few different reasons. Okay, which I might try and explain. Yeah, I will try and explain. So we've made changes such as ordering milk from the milkman. Remember that guy or gal? I remember them. It was brilliant. Even the pop man. There's so many things. I'm nearly 40, so I don't know whether I'm showing my age with this, but so we get the milk. The milkman comes and delivers. He doesn't just deliver milk, He delivers juice, butter. These are just a few things that we might get from the milkman. To be honest, we only get milk and juice now, because we were getting like bread and butter, and as I say, they weren't always being able, because of the demand on the service, everybody was starting to use the milkman, which is great. But then there's lots of people, and it basically meant that the ordering system was just filled with other people trying to get on there, and I just couldn't get on to get the things I wanted anyway. So, but we were able to sustain that happening because we rely on having a supply of milk for the kids for the breakfast, and especially when they did go back to school, because it was the thing I was really keen on making sure that they had a good breakfast and they're learning better because they are fed well. So we have the milk coming in, and juice, fresh fruit juice, and both the bottles that we get are the ones that you empty, you use, decanter, clean, and put them back out for the milkman to collect the next time he does a delivery. I say he because he is a he. There's 3 deliveries a week, which is more than enough. We just make sure that we've had to change our order so that it fits in better with our life. We were getting just like 1 every other day, and it just wasn't enough. We were just basically using that pint of milk that day, and then we're like, wait a minute, we haven't got enough now. Well, second day we'd get the same again, a milk and a juice, and then be like, the milk's run out again, so we'd have to go to the shop to get some milk anyway, we have managed to sustain it. We've changed and developed what we were doing, so we now have 2 bottles of milk and a juice arriving when they arrive, and then that usually means that we don't have to buy anything else from the shop. easy peasy. We know we're doing our thing. It's using a better service, and we don't have to touch plastic at all. So the amount of plastic bottles that don't go, they don't get recycled, that we were using before, we don't have to use them anymore. I mean, there is another point that actually really shouldn't be drinking cow's milk at all, but the kids they won't drink it. We've tried. I tried many different types of milk with them. Anyway, they're not as keen as you would think they would be on coconut milk on their cornflakes or oat milk. Actually, that's all right with porridge. That goes down well with porridge. Or almond milk, especially for my son, who's really not into nuts. He doesn't like nuts. But I don't know whether he realises that Nutella has nuts in it, but he loves that. So anyway, he does know because I'm allergic to hazelnuts. So, but again, we're digressing. So how can we make simple changes that are going to be able to last and be sustained? Making sure that they're easy. So I have an order set up now with this milkman, and it just happens, apart from when the money is not in the bank and it doesn't take the payment, but then they just try and take it the next day. So it's an easy thing. It's affordable, because I know in my heart, even if I feel like actually I might be paying a little bit more than I was doing for the big, like 4 litres, not 4 litres, there was never that much milk. 4 or 6 pints I would usually get in the plastic bottles. So, but saving on that, knowing that I wasn't buying plastic for them, and that everything gets washed and reused that we're now using, I don't mind that I'm paying a little bit more money, because it sits better with me, and I feel like that is something that's easy, it is affordable, and it's sustainable. It's really, really key that those 3 things are done, and that they're easily done. They are effortless. Okay, so that sort of explains a little bit more about how we can make simple changes with just one example. So question 4, what if we feel we need to do more? Now, this is basically probably just a question for me. I always feel like I need to do more. So I have friends, and my sisters have mentioned to me things like, oh, I'm doing this, oh, I'm doing that. And that is great. They're really, I don't know whether sometimes people feel like they might need to say things like that because of the kind of work that I'm doing, which is fine. I got called the eco lady the other day by one of my sisters. That was quite funny. The eco lady. Oh, well, you're the eco lady, aren't you? Oh, well, I love that. I'm not bothered. You can call me what you like. Well, okay, don't be rude. Anyway, so yeah. So where was I going with this one? What if we feel we need to do more? So that's it exactly. So my friends and people around me saying things like, oh, I'm doing this, and I'm trying these different shampoo bars. I'm trying, what else have I heard recently? I've gone vegan. Oh, I'm trying to eat less meat. So many different things that people do try and do. But a lot of the time when that conversation starts, the reason why that conversation starts is because people do care. They do want to do more, but maybe perhaps they don't know how to. Maybe perhaps they haven't got a clue where to start. Maybe perhaps they don't have the time to think about it. Maybe perhaps their life is just full, and this just seems like something that they have to do because it's really important. But heck, maybe there is no time to fit that in a day. Not everybody's just sort of sat around all day like me. I'm not sat around all day. I have been on furlough since the 1st of April. It's likely that will continue. I'm hoping. What I think I'm trying to do, well, with the businesses and the mindset and everything I'm trying to do, is you make the most use of the time that I do have at the moment to be able to put things in motion so that we make lasting change. We live differently, and it's super important that although, you know, I have a luxury of time and space to be able to think, to be able to try these different things, and to be able to create content. That's not a word, is it? To be able to create content that will help others, that will make other people realize what they can do. So yeah, I do have that luxury of the time, but lots of people don't. And you will have this overwhelming feeling that you aren't doing enough. So to be able to do more, you need to have that feeling. If you feel you want to do something, then that's the place to start, even if it's really small. It could just be a simple thing that, yes, you do recycling. Yeah, I think majority of people now rinse out their plastics, their bottles, their tin cans, and they put them in their recycling bins, and they pop them out each week or every other week, whatever it is. That's just a given, isn't it? But there are the next stages to that. There are more things that you can do to reduce the amount of recycling that you're having to put out. So that's another one of my big pet hates, is the amount of stuff that I actually do put in the bin. Now, I'm going to call it my landfill bin. That's what I'm going to call it, the green or the grey one, if you're local. That bin hardly ever has anything in it anymore. I'm really quite proud to say. But so I used to go to the tip a lot, used to tip a lot of stuff that couldn't be given away, couldn't be used, couldn't be burnt, couldn't be something. You know, clearing out houses and things, that's something that happens. You do. Ideally not to do that, but going to the tip is actually recycling. That is one of the key things. So, and yeah, anyway, we're going into a whole different territory talking about that. But if we feel we need to do more, and we've got bins that are still full of recycling, that is one key thing that you could start to change, is just reducing the amount that needs to be recycled. Don't mean just keep more of it in your cupboards and your drawers at home or in your garage, like I started to do. Don't do that. Just reduce what you're bringing home. So, like with the milk bottles, like with the fresh juice, those two things would have been two different sort of plastic and card type cartons that we would have had and that would have gone into our recycling. Now, they're not now. So that's me taking another step further in the recycling process to be able to say, okay, no, I don't need to do that anymore. I can definitely say that I am doing that little bit more. I know that there's still more that I can do. We've worked very, very, probably might have been the last month, the month before, I got a little bit crazy, a little bit overexcited, and decided to clear my pantry out and paint up my pantry cupboard. I have a pantry under the stairs, very fancy, aren't we? And a pantry cupboard. We have a luxury of so much pantry space. It's awesome. It's like the old days. I think I am living like, like the old, just like my grandma, actually. So I'm going to put that one out there. So yeah, went a little bit like, oh, this is exciting. So I cleared it out, cleared out all the things, checked what we had in there. We redistributed things. So we're putting the flowers in the jars and old I'm basically just a bit of a hoarder as well. So keep lots of glass jars and tin cans, but tin cans will come into another project that I will talk about another time. But the glass jars, keeping them, washing them and reusing them for whatever I want to put in my pantry and my pantry cupboard. I basically went all to town and cleared to the point where I could see what was in there. I labelled things up that hadn't been labelled. There's some good photos of this I will be putting on my blog at some point. So we've got all this sort of wonderful system that's in place now, that so when we run out of a spice in our main cupboard, let me just check the back stock. I'll check my back stock in the second pantry, and I will go, we have already got some ground ginger. I will bring it out, and I'll bring out the ground ginger, whatever it is, and we will fill up the tub that's in the usable sort of cooking zone. So that's it. And then it gets to the point where I've run out of that. What should we say this time? Not ground ginger again. Mild chili powder. I need to put that on my shopping list. So I've got a nice big shopping list, and I'll put that on my shopping list. And then I'll go and buy that to stock up my pantry. So we're using this sort of circular system in our pantry, in our food stores, that will hopefully then mean that we only get and we only buy what we actually need. Now, if we can then buy that from a refill shop where we can go in with our little jars and we can fill it up, take it away, or pay for it. Don't just take it. Pay for it, take it away, go where you're going to go, and then do what you want to do. Not quite how it happens, I know. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I was thinking about what I would do with the mild chili powder, but that's a whole different other cooking show, and that's not what this is. So, get using your things, and then it creates this circular thing that happens, and you can be much more aware of what you have and what you don't need. So the plan is to use refill shops, or I've just bought this massive bag, a paper bag of flour from, it was in a Tesco, in the Tesco's, actually, local Tesco's, and it was on sale. Clearly no one wanted it, from £4.50 or something. It was 4 kilo bag to £1.50. I thought, I'm having that. I know where that's going to go. That's going in me. Is it in the back pantry? It's in the pantry stock area. So we now have this sort of system in place, which will hopefully mean that when I do go and need to buy something or think about something, I'm going to think about it on the next scale. So I'm having to think about, right, okay, I don't just want to go out and buy another plastic bag of rice because I know that I need to refill my rice. I'm going to go out and buy a sack from somewhere that I can store at home and then use it in the right way. I've done that before, where I've bought a sack. I bought this sack of rice. I was so excited about this sack. Oh my God, it's a sack of rice. It's like my dreams have come true. Oh, it's then got a plastic bag inside the sack. So it counterbalanced everything. Anyway, there's another story to do with tea bags as well. We decided that we wanted to just get rid of tea bags. We're great at composting things, and we're great at putting things on so that the food waste is going out in the garden. It's going out to hopefully just do its thing out there. So we're good at that. But it's really annoying still that there is boxes, or there's sometimes you can get little bits of plastic still in your tea bags, things that you can't, that won't ever degrade, or that'll take a lot longer to degrade. So that was annoying. So I wanted to just go loose leaf. Let's try this loose leaf thing. I've done it before, where I've done it with fruit teas and things like that. But I thought I seriously want to just try it with the real tea, see what that's like. And then I looked online, and all I could find was, right, so we buy Yorkshire tea. Don't know why, it's just the thing we do. Yorkshire tea comes in a nice box, recyclable box. Great, okay, I'll do that, I'll use that. So when I was looking for loose leaf tea, what do they sell it in? They sell it in a massive plastic bag. It's the thickest plastic bag. There's no chance of that degrading anytime soon. Anyway, so I thought, no, scrap that idea. Anyway, in Tesco's again, because it's convenient. It's not far from school. It's easy to get to, and yeah, so in there's this beautiful box of loose leaf tea. It's not Yorkshire tea. It's not any tea that I'd ever heard of. I think it was just some sort of Tesco zone thing. It's probably not ethical. Surely it will be. It will be, won't it? I don't know. There's so many things to think about. This is where it gets a little bit like, what? So be wary if you are thinking of doing a little bit of this journey yourselves. Make sure you're ready. Anyway, I've totally lost my train of thought on that one. And I haven't tried the loose leaf tea yet, but it looks good. And it's in a box that could be recycled. And there wasn't plastic in there. So fingers crossed, it could be a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. But don't eat meat, so no chicken for me. Right. Anyway, number 5, our last question for today. So if we already lead an eco lifestyle, how can we step it up a gear? How can we go that little step further? You don't want to go quite as far as I've gone yet. Actually, that's another little story for you there, because recently there's like a love-hate relationship I have with my car. I love her, very much love her, but there are problems that occur that stress me out a lot, which is what happens with most people and most people's cars. That's just what happens. But it got me thinking, because the last 2 times that I've thought, oh, why not again? I just want things to be easy. Can't we just walk everywhere? Well, you know what you get. What you ask for, you get, don't you? So anyway, I set myself a little experiment, and it's gone pretty well. So the experiment is, can we live without a car? Can you, when you live in a village 5 miles away from the school, the shops, the clubs, not that anyone's going to clubs at the minute, can we? So we've tried it for the last 3 weeks, and guess what? You can live without a car. Not if you want to nip to B&Q and get something on a whim. You can't do that. What else have we not been able to do? Life's harder, but I found mentally more easy to manage without a car. Now, so what I'm trying to sort of express or explain, which is a little bit, I mixed the words up a little bit there, express. So what I'm trying to explain, shall we go with that one, is stepping it up a gear. It doesn't have to be that adventurous, but it just means slight adjustments. If you can make slight adjustments to what you're already doing and just make it so that it's, like we said before, easily affordable, sustainable, you're going to be able to maintain them, or you're going to be able to then, again, after that, once it's become an established change, you can then step it up a gear again. If you sort of set yourself like little maybe targets, then that makes it more achievable too. So for example, like we've talked about the recycling, we've talked about how you can sort of like shop differently. So the ways that you can, simple ways to do it. Now, if I can try and put this in a way that sort of makes sense. So things like food, if you're thinking, I feel like I should be vegetarian, I maybe even should really try being vegan, but I don't want to. I like eating meat. I don't really have any problem with people killing animals for meat, but you're in a quandary. You need to, if you're even considering something like that, you just put yourself little targets. So say you say, right, okay, I'm feeling like this, so I feel like there is something in this I need to maybe act on. I maybe need to do something, but I'm not ready to commit to it, then just do like a veganuary or something where you're just trying it out. And for any of you that don't know, veganuary is basically just trying to be vegan for the month of January. It's very clever, isn't it? So you could do that. If that's too much, then just say, I mean, when it was vegetarian, I believe it was vegetarian week, not last year, year before. And I thought, oh, I'll do that. That's what I'll do, because I thought about not eating meat. I've never really been that bothered about it, really. A bit like my mum, just not really too fussed about it. But I've enjoyed it. I'm not going to say that I won't. I haven't. So anyway, yeah. So I just tried it for a week, and I think I did all right. I wasn't really in the right headspace at the time, but I did try it, and I did succeed for that week, and then I felt good about that. So I think I carried it on for another. It basically turned from a week into a month, and that was great. And then my brain I had a lot of things going on, so I didn't set myself any more targets after that. I just sort of stopped, and I went back to feeling bad about the fact that the kids wanted to eat meat and I wasn't buying it. So I just thought, you know what? This isn't the time. This isn't the right time for me to try this. So I won't. I'm going to leave it, and that's it. Simple as that. So I did. And then I can't even remember how it came back. But then I just thought, you know what? I really don't want to eat meat. Or there was something that was happening and I was eating stuff and I just didn't feel good when I was eating it. So I just did it. Same thing again. But I set myself some targets. I think it was, this week I'm not going to eat meat, but I'll cook it. I'll cook it because I know that that's where the problem is for me, is if I don't cook it, then I feel the guilt of not cooking it if the kids want to eat it. And I don't want them to suffer with what they're not eating. I think it was actually during lockdown that I started that, because we weren't going to school. We didn't need to be anywhere, so it was actually easier to sort of control what we were bringing into the house to what I was actually cooking. So I tried it, set myself targets, and actually more or less have been like a vegetarian since it must be since about April or May then, which is good. It's fine. Kids fine with it. We cook meat. I've had a couple of things here and there, but more or less I've stuck to it. It's been easy, affordable, and sustainable for me, because I've sort of let other things that worried me about it go. I've been able to sort of say, okay, I know that's what my blockage is. That's my thing that's stopping me. So I need to work on that. And then, okay, I can happily go with that. So stepping it up a gear is only possible if you are in the right mindset and you're doing it, you're in the flow with what you're doing and you're feeling that it's the right thing to do. So there's no point in forcing the stepping up the gear. There's no point in saying something that you're not going to be able to stick to. You need to be able to see it through so that you can feel good about having stepped it up. Because if you have the guilt of doing something that's not been right, or there's something, it will just stop you in your tracks. It'll stop you from achieving what you're hoping to achieve. So yeah, it's easy to step it up once you're in the right mindset and in the zone. So I was thinking, for the end of this show, one final question. And the one final question, it's not going to have a number, this one, because usually I'm like me 5 questions. And then the final question. So it's not going to be 6. We don't like 6. We like 5. So what is our communal next step? So we are facing monumental environmental challenges because of climate change. As a society, we do all we can to counterbalance. We certainly do our bit. Yet, is it enough? We know we have to act fast and now. We have to do something that makes a difference and has an impact, but make the much needed shifts in how we live our lives. We recycle, we grow our own food, we compost, cook from scratch, bake, repair things, reuse shopping bags, use zero waste shops, we buy from farms, we use eco products, we think before we consume, we have green electricity, and we even offset carbon. That, though, is still not enough. Not for me. So we carry on building as we go by supporting charities, fighting for nature, dreaming of electric vehicles as the norm. We run eco businesses. We share our green experiences, signing petitions, changing our lifestyles. We don't fly, and that feels a little bit better. What could be the thing to do that would prove effective in making the next big step in environmental change? What could prove a fundamental strategic thing to do that could catapult us all to that change, which leaves us with no other choice but to forge ahead and save the planet once and for all? Perhaps that needs a little bit more thought. So for now, I urge you to consider your next step. How can you better protect this one and only magnificent earth we call home? I certainly am looking forward to going on this journey with you. Let's see where it can take us. I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's discussion, and if you have any questions, you can contact me on my Twitter page at Amy Elisa W. Hopefully I will endeavour to reply to all of them, and who knows, your question may even appear on a subsequent show. So would you like to take that leap of faith and join in the quest for this eco lifestyle madness? I'm Amy Elisa Watson, and I've been happy to share with you today.